An ancient Russian city founded in 862 is rich in unique architecture and icon painting. It experienced a boom in the 1970s and is now a popular destination for tourists. Stay tuned to my channel and I'll tell you more about this famous Russian city. Hello! Today we are going on a journey to one of the oldest Russian cities called Rostov Veliky. We haven't been on a trip for a long time, so we are very excited and looking forward to it. We will visit Rostov Kremlin, walking on the street, visit the museum and rest on the shores of Nero Lake. Come with us! We arrived in the city and on our way to the hotel I will say a few words about Rostov. Rostov was first mentioned in the year 862, making it one of the oldest cities in Russia. For comparison, the first mention of Moscow dates back to the year 1147. This city is a part of the famous tourist road known as the Golden Ring, which includes ancient cities with unique historical and cultural monuments. What benefits did this location provide for the people who lived here? Why did this city thrive successfully through the ages? The answer to this question is: the shores of Lake Nero are a very profitable place because it is the intersection of water transport roads. From here, commercial boats could travel to the Volga River and further to the Caspian Sea and on to eastern countries. Also, boats could float through the Nero River to reach all of Central Russia. These factors helped the city grow rapidly, and it became one of the biggest and richest cities in Russia as early as the 10th century. The baptism into the Christian faith took place in the year 991. Most of the city's population was brought into the waters of Lake Nero, divided into groups of 10 to 15 people. Specially invited Byzantine priests sailed boats between the groups and baptized the inhabitants, giving them one name per group. However, over the years, local residents still resisted the new faith and even rebelled. Meanwhile, we checked into an apartment hotel. I was surprised because it turned out to be a very atmospheric location. I took some videos of our room. It has a cozy bathroom, and an artfully styled living space. There's also a kitchen corner fully equipped for cooking. It includes a small refrigerator, a microwave oven, and kitchen cabinets with a set of dishes. There's even an electric stove, a pan, and of course, wine glasses. The walls are made of natural bricks, creating an atmosphere of antiquity, and because the hotel is located near the Kremlin, you can hear the bells ringing. You can imagine yourself as someone who lived here hundreds of years ago. It's time to visit the Kremlin. Since the 11th century, this place served as the bishop's residence. However, all the buildings were wooden until the 16th century, when the Kremlin gained its modern stone appearance. At that time, Bishop Iona believed that the city should have a monumental Kremlin to signify the great spiritual center and his own power. The construction lasted for 20 years, and the architect behind it was the Russian mason Peter Dasaev. According to Bishop Iona's idea, the Kremlin was supposed to represent the symbol of the heavenly city Jerusalem. The architectural complex consists of 3 parts: Bishop's Yard, surrounded by a fortress wall in the center, Cathedral Square to the north, and the Bishop's Garden to the south. We are on Cathedral Square, and you can see Uspensky Cathedral on the right. It was built in the 12th century. Before that, there were 4 wooden churches at that location, but they were burned down. It is a common problem for wooden buildings, and you can still see recently burned houses in the city today. Now we are heading up to the observation deck. From this vantage point, there is a beautiful view of the Kremlin and the city. From here we have a lovely view of the historic center and Lake Nero with its charming blue space. After visiting the viewpoint, we walked down to the yard and went to the internal square. We are in the Bishop Square. In the center we can see a small lake. In front there is the church of Saint John Evangelist, and on the right there is the church of Hadejitria. Side by side there is the Church of Resurrection. We are heading toward it because there is an entrance to a passage in the fortress wall. We are climbing the ancient stair and entering the corridors, passages around the fortress walls. The corridors run along all the fortress walls, allowing you to walk in a circle around them. Through a narrow window we can see the Church of Hadejitria and appreciate the thickness of the walls. We find ourselves in the gallery, and first of all we are looking at pictures on the walls and ceiling. Here scenes from the Old Testament and depicted with the theme of Apocalyptica. If we continue straight ahead, we will visit the interior of the Church of the Resurrection. Here we see similar pictures, but the theme is from New Testament. The bright colors and special style of the pictures create a unique local style, which can be seen in Rostov and a few other famous Asian cities. We are heading straight to visit the next church, the Church of the Saint John the Evangelist. The theme of the interior here is the Acts of the Apostles, with the same style of pictures throughout. And now we're on the fortress wall. It is a good observation point, and we can see the Bishop's Yard from above. Let's walk on the passages. Imagine the ancient times. Monks are walking around. Commoners are doing their everyday work in the yard. The taller sounds. The Rostov Kremlin is a popular choice for movie makers. A lot of historical cinema has been filmed here. This building is a church court. All issues concerning the church and common people were resolved here. It was also the control center of the diocese. Meanwhile, we have arrived at the south wall, from which we can enjoy the Bishop's Garden. The garden was restored in the 1990s. Before this time, there was an empty field, because the Kremlin had fallen into disrepair from various reasons. It took a lot of work in the archives and on the ground to repair the Bishop's Garden. And moving forward, we come to the White Chamber, the place where ceremonial meals and reception for noble guests took place. Now it houses a museum exhibition. Here we can admire a portrait of the famous rebel Yemelyan Pugachev. It is a very sad story. Maybe I will share it in another video. In this area we can see also a variety of items from the ancient period of the Kremlin: dishes, jewelry, portraits of monarchs and famous individuals, furniture and religion artifacts. I was surprised to learn that in the Russian Orthodox religion, sculptures were once common, similar to Catholicism. However, the Russian Church later prohibited the creation of sculptures. Now we will explore the neighborhood of the Kremlin. We will start from a pedestrianized street. It's a very pleasant place. And of course, there is still a lot of work for restoration masters. Here we see many buildings that need restoration. The authority will have to allocate a lot of money from the budget for this purpose. Do you hear the sound of the bells? They are used to mark the beginning and the end of a church service, or to signify important moments during a service. There are many different combinations of large and small bells, each used for specific reasons. Here we see the monastery, which was built in the 17th century. The right side was restored 1 year ago, and the left side is waiting for its turn. On our journey, we also visited a unique museum featuring an exhibition that showcased the everyday life of Rostov merchants. Here are a few things that you can see there. The next point on our agenda is the city park. The park was opened in 1830 and underwent renovations in 2013. Pay attention to the gates, as they are in good condition. I would like to make a remark on the condition of the historical artifacts in the city. They are in good condition, and it seems that restoration works have been ongoing for the past 5 years. While compiling this video, I came across a lot of photos and videos from Rostov, and I must say that Rostov Veliky now looks even nicer than it did 5 years ago. My respect goes out to the city authorities. And immediately upon entering, we see a photo zone that says "I love Rostov Veliky." And to the left, there is a performance stage where cultural events take place. As we turn left, we see a deer sculpture. which is a symbol of the city that can be found in many places. Continue straight, we reach the lake shore and are fortunate to enjoy the serene view of the lake. Unfortunately, the weather in Russia often changes, affecting our perception of the world around us. On sunny days, Rostov is great and looks gentle and friendly. As we admire the view, we notice the deer sculpture again, sponsored by a major bank with an inscription on a base referencing this sponsorship. Finally, we make our way to the shore and take in the peaceful atmosphere of the place, feeling as though time has stopped. This is the charm of provincial life. There is also sculpture of stork here, symbolizing family well-being. Newlyweds often take photos near the stork sculpture and make a wish for children. Our excursion ends at the city garden, and we continue our walk along the lake shore outside the park. Along the shores of Lake Nero, a diverse range of houses stand, reflecting the economic disparities of the inhabitants. Adjacent to a lavish estate, a dilapidated apartment building stands as a testament of social problems. This monument commemorates the baptism of Rostov's residents in Lake Nero in 991. Rostov holds the distinction of being the first city in ancient Russia to adopt Christianity. An inscription on the base stone attests to this historical event. In the summer here, you can rent a boat and admire the picturesque view of the city from the water. The season hasn't opened yet because it's still too cold. The path along the lake eventually leads to this lovely place. We are on the shore of Nero Lake, and here is a special bridge for kisses. Yes, here is sign, and we will do it now. It's time to take a walk through the city streets. We'll leave the historical center and head towards the more authentic neighborhoods. Nearby the lake we found some truly wonderful examples of Russian wooden architecture. I was surprised by their excellent condition and beauty. Stunningly beautiful private houses like something out of a fairy tale. I don't typically trust wooden buildings, and I can't imagine how they have survived for so long. I'd guess they are over 100 years old. By the way, this greenhouse is for sale. Would you like to live in this lovely place? The street we walked down to the lake is different from this one, which leads up from the lake. That street is tighter to the Kremlin and has higher land prices. As a result, more affluent people live there. We are walking the main street of Rostov Veliky, quite a distance from the center. As we approach the center, we'll see more and more historical buildings. These were constructed by prominent Rostov businessmen in the 18th and 19th centuries. The first notable house we encounter is the Мясников residence. He was a wealthy man, but he started his career from humble beginnings. After his death, his grandchildren donated the house to the city, where it was converted into a hospital. The hospital remains in operation to this day. Continue toward the center, we come to the Pleshanov building. He was also a successful businessman who rose from a peasant family. He amassed his fortune by trading candles in a bulk. The adjacent house belonged to the same individual. This house has a style that points to its historical period. I would say this building was constructed between 1930 and 1950. Today it serves educational purposes. Let's walk down a different street. This one is just rows of private houses with endless fences. It's a bit of an eyesore, and this trend really started after Perestroika. When I was young, people had simple, transparent fences. There was a sense of openness, and you could easily say hello to the owner as you passed by. But something changed in their minds. I think they've grown tired of each other. The lifestyle drastically changed after capitalism came to our country, and the period after Perestroika was incredibly difficult. I've heard another explanation. It's a psychological armor. The state violated people's privacy since the Soviet Revolution, and this idea has some merit. For example, problems with families could be judged by Communist Party bosses at factory meetings. The party held significant power over people. Similar situations were commonplace in many aspects of life. Therefore, the psychological explanation of these high fences may be accurate. Personally, I hate solid fences and prefer a transparent one. I love the sense of space around me. On the right there is a burned wooden house. We saw several such houses in the city. It's a common problem for wooden construction. Let's take a step back in time to the 1970s and 1980s. We are walking through a district that was constructed during that era. Rostov experienced an industrial boom during this period. A large factory was built, creating a need of housing of the workers. This led to the construction of these buildings. Here we can see a typical view of a provincial city: 5-story houses, plenty of space between them, and many trees. Let's visit a courtyard. It's a square space with a playground in the center and benches around the perimeter. Look, there is a gas pipeline on the left. And here we see that boy is playing with a ball. That's rare in the modern world. Let's wish him luck to become a famous football player. There are private garages. They are all different from each other, creating a bit of a disharmony with the landscape. We were surprised to find a small pond here. A very nice place. We relaxed for a couple of minutes by the water, and now we are leaving the courtyard. The exit is under a passage between two buildings. Unfortunately, the windows on the inner side of the buildings are broken. I think they've been broken for several decades. When we pass through the building and look up, we see beautiful new windows. They look much better than the ones on the other side. We've taken a look at the city's past, and now it's time to explore the present. We've traveled to a new district of Rostov Veliky. First, we'll visit a new church that opened in 2021. The church has 2 floors. The first floor is for ceremonies and the second is for services. Let's visit the second floor first. The interior is modern in style, but it's very much in keeping with tradition. The space is full of light and it lifted my spirits. I think it's a very beautiful church. After that, we walked downstairs to the room for ceremonies. People were waiting for the priest to come out and bless the Eastern cakes, since Easter is celebrated in Russia at this time. We didn't wait for this to happen and went to explore a new area of the city. We came across a charming suburban area with beautiful one-story private homes. Let's drive through the district and explore. A little further down the road, we found modern apartment buildings and, as you can see, a school on the left. And of course, there are solid fences. I was really impressed by this area. It's very cozy and has bright, warm colors. I think it's a great color choice because our country is cold and for 6 months out of the year everything is black and white due to the snow. The people living here have a chance to enjoy the beauty of the architecture and the colors. But our trip is over and we are heading back home. We showed you one of the oldest Russian cities, showcasing all of its important historical periods. You saw architecture from ancient, Soviet and modern eras. But of course, I recommend visiting it personally and spending a few days there, relaxing without a rush and immersing yourself in its peaceful energy. Until next time, I hope to see you again on my channel. Bye!